Hi Gloria, thank you very much for uploading your homework and your photo shoot as usual. You've done excellently and you're becoming a really good photographer. I'm really impressed. Okay, let's jump in. Head, quarter, half. Okay, so head, I'm gonna mention this now because this is unacceptable, okay? Much too slow, which means you've got a blurry image. Okay, you've done the class on shutter speed. Remember that is forbidden to shoot at a 1/125th of a second. So you've gotten away with it in these pictures. The truth is as well, I can see. Okay, you've gotten away with it at 1/125th of a second. You've gotten away with it, but it's not. It's just not. You're not allowed, okay? Just remember that, you're not allowed. Okay, so in regards to cropping in close for the head picture, I think it would have been better. There's space on the edge that's not necessary. And remember what we've learned is that our point of entry is the eyes, and we always end up moving down. And because our eye is moving down when we're looking at a face, we need more room at the bottom than we do at the top. So a correct crop would probably be something like that. Remember that if we want to add room at the bottom, we can crop from the top, and that makes, like, percentage wise, it makes this area bigger. So now this becomes a little bit tighter, okay? And as a quarter portrait, this is fine. This is fine. You've got away with it at 25th of a second, but don't do that because there'll be times when you won't get away with it, and you'll think, I wish I'd used a quicker shutter speed because the picture will be blurry. You'll learn in the next class, in class 5, that you could put your ISO up to maybe 800 or 1600, and then that would afford you a quicker shutter speed. So in regards to a quarter portrait, this is perfect. In regards to a quarter, this really is. We don't really need to leave the shoulders in here. Okay, you will learn, well, if you do the posing class that we put out right now that I think you can get for free, when you're taking pictures of somebody, you should nearly always turn them to around a 45-degree angle. It gives the feeling just a much more like a dynamic, energized feeling, as opposed to being straight on. It feels a bit static. Okay, and now as a half portrait, this is with shutter. This is with shutter. So this is with movement blur. Okay, the actual crop is fine. Did great, but it's not acceptable because it's a 25th of a second, and you really can't hold the camera. Even though you were lucky in these two pictures, you really can't hold the camera steady at 25th of a second. We should be aiming for around a 200th of a second or faster. I only start to really feel like at peace when I'm past the 250th of a second or 320th. When I'm at a 500th of a second, it's like no thinking whatsoever. You can just shoot away and you don't have to worry. Okay, now this is a perfect example of widest f8 and then f22. We can see here. This is your widest, which is at 5.6. The next one's f8, f22, and you have used shutter priority. That's fine. Wait, how did you use shutter priority? That's interesting. I don't quite know how you did. Oh, you did use aperture priority. This one you use shutter priority. You just go to f6, and then you're in aperture priority. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, very good. Here you were able to use a very slow shutter speed, even 0.8 of a second or 1/8 of a second, because you had the camera down steady, and you've perfectly demonstrated the idea of depth of field. Excellent, perfect, excellent. Give yourself a pat on the back for that one. Okay, and barrel distortion. Did you have a flash go off here? Don't think so. No, so there must have been a strong light in here. Excellent. Again, you've at a 40th of a second, you held the camera steady. It's amazing. Different people's physiologies allow for different amounts of time. I've had photographers. I can hold the camera quite steady generally, but I've had photographers working for me. I had one lady working for me who was able to hold the camera steady at like an eighth of a second. Literally, she was like a rock. And then there's another girl who worked for me who she wouldn't shoot it under like a 200th of a second. She would get camera shake. It's a lot to do with the kind of person, the way your body works. So this is great. In regards to barrel distortion, this is excellent. This is great. Barrel distortion. Truth is, your camera is actually very good. It doesn't have such a crazy barrel distortion. So this is great. These kind of pictures are very dynamic and they are useful. The kind of pictures that I take with barrel distortion are like at a wedding when they're writing the kasuba. I'll take pictures close up that creates like kind of a dynamic. You know, when somebody's signing or something, it just adds energy to it. We never, I can't think, maybe the exception of like a funny face picture, but we never basically take pictures of people close up, zoomed out. Remember the 4 rules that you've learned is widest aperture. First things first, zoom in, widest aperture, as close to your subject as possible, and subject far from the background. So we're always going back and zooming in, as opposed to being in close and zooming out. Okay, very good. And now this is the fun bit. Let's look at your photo shoot. So you've gotten away. I don't know. I think probably the reason why you left this area in is because of this bubble. But I think that really the picture's happening over here. I personally, I think, would have cropped in something a little bit more like this. And then it could be we'll do this in Lightroom. This is great. This is lovely. Fantastic shot. Okay, this is your camera. See these little like the fact that it's not pin sharp and it's kind of like grainy a little bit. That's because you're at a very high ISO for your camera. Okay, but that's a great shot. I love this. It's very interesting. Adds a lot of kind of dynamic tension. The fact that you've got a very hard circle right in the middle of the frame. Lots of colours, and this is great. Lovely picture. Okay, great. Cropping in close. You have, this is excellent, excellent attention to space and sensitivity to tensions and directions. Our point of entry, his eyes, and again we move down. You've got this perfect triangle by having him fold his arms. Like I said, generally we move people to the side, but this picture is fine without that. One point to pick is just the fact that the background is dark and his hair is also dark, which means he doesn't pop out in this area. If he was wearing a white couple or it was a lighter background, he would pop out much more. I also appreciate the light on his face. This is great. This is a big improvement, and this is really good, solid photography. You should be proud of this. Excellent. Okay, another good shot. I think the pose is a little bit kind of feminine. You should ask him, his shoulders have tightened up a little bit. There's a very good way when you're posing somebody, what happens is after people can end up getting very kind of tight and rigid, and the best way to deal with this, the one word that everybody relates to without any exceptions is, okay, reset, and then they let go and their shoulders drop and everything, yeah? And then you can start again. Okay, so here it looks like he's gotten a little bit like hunched up. All you need to say is reset. He'll drop his arms down and start again. Fold your arms up, good, and then that would take care of this kind of like tight shoulderness. Did the flash go off here? No, don't think so. The light here is beautiful. This area I don't think is particularly necessary. Could crop away this area here. This is also a little distracting. But I appreciate your sensitivity to tensions, because I think you need that much area. When it comes in like this, it's a little bit too tight. So if you wanted to get rid of that in post, you could, or you could have come around a slight little bit further. But excellent. This is such an improvement on what you've been doing. This is excellent. Good photography. Good solid photography. In regards to your camera, I would take a note that your camera at a 1600 ISO, you're going to learn this in the next class, is a little bit, it doesn't quite cut it. and you didn't need to be at a 6/40th of a second. You could have been a little bit slower. So you'll see in the next class you could have dropped down to 800 ISO and to a 1/320th of a second, and it would have been the same exposure, and you wouldn't have this kind of grain, this digital noise when you zoom in. Okay, this is nice. This would be good in black and white, I think. I like the things. I'm not going to comment on this one so much because you've got a great shot. This is a great shot. Excellent, excellent. This is really, really good. Good, solid photography. I would like to maybe crop in. I'm thinking I just love this texture and this perspective from the wall over here. So although we've got a kind of dynamic, we've got a flow going this way, it's not so bad because his eyes are coming towards us this way, and then it catches this line here, which means the crop of this area here I think is going to actually add a little bit to the balance. I think that is true. Yeah, this is a great shot. Again, is the flash going off? I don't think the flash is going off. I think you've got light coming from behind. There's an open area behind to your left. Great. And this is a great shot. The one thing that I wish was it was more like this kind of pose. It's cute that he's sticking his tongue out, but if this was a real pose, looking with the head down a little bit and just looking with a serious look into the eyes, into the camera, this would be exceptionally good. Exceptionally good. These lines here are just excellent, bringing you straight into his face. So you have this, our point of entry is his face, obviously, and then we've got this kind of like, it's kind of it's funny because the beauty of this picture, I think I can draw this here, 1 second. Is it that? No. 1 second, yeah, so I can actually draw this here. Is the beauty of this picture is actually the same beauty. Remember, we learned this in the first class. The same beauty as a sunset. If you look at the way the lines are falling, it's excellent. Really a great picture here. I love that. This really is an exceptionally good picture. I'm not into the tongue being stuck out. My mother-in-law also hates tongues being stuck out. But the attention to space and the sensitivity to the tensions and the directions, the perspective, the shapes, the textures, the contrast between the blue and the sepia kind of dark, muted reds. Excellent. Really, you've cropped in perfectly close. There's not 1 millimeter of wasted space. That is a great shot. I think this is your best shot so far. Okay, let's take, what should we take into Lightroom? Let's take this one into Lightroom. We're going to go black and white here, and we're going to add a lot of energy, a lot of there's attitude in this picture, you know? It's there's attitude here. So let's add more attitude, because that's the goal of post, is find out what's doing and then go with it, make it doing more, so to speak. 1 second, here we go. Let's import here, double click. Okay, 1 second. So immediately we're going to go black and white. Then once we've gone black and white, now we go to our colors over here. The skin tones are nearly always in the orange and the yellow. More here, the orange. Okay. Green's at the back. His shirt. Oh, isn't that cool? We can give him a white shirt, we can give him a black shirt. It's not so important. What I want to do really is just explode his face, so to speak. So I'm going to try and mute everything else. I'm now going to use my brush tool. I'm going to raise the exposure quite dramatically for the actual picture. I'm going to put up the contrast, which is going to pull out the shadows. I think the exposure drop high. I think if we put up the clarity as well, that's going to add some more tension. I'm just going to drop the exposure a teeny bit. There we go. Okay, and now remember always, as always, another way of emphasizing area A is by de-emphasizing area B. So let's de-emphasize area B by making it a little bit darker. Just a drop. Remember the word subtle always is going to be always in the front of our mind. I'm just going to now do his eyes quickly, so we can go to Iris Enhance. There we go. Just make it small. It's just going to be slight because his eyes aren't open so much anyway. Okay, I think we're getting there. I think we might actually add a vignette as well. Let's just add a vignette. Slight vignette. There we go. Let's have a look. So let's just turn off the pins. So good shot. Again, I love the tensions. Everything's nice in place. And now we just kind of pushed it a little bit further, gave it a little bit of attitude. It could be even to darken further a little bit. Let's see. I'm not decided. Yeah, I think we're going to go with that. And from here to here. From here to here. Okay, Gloria, excellent. Really, very encouraging. And looking forward to seeing what you do for us next week. All the best.